Hello beautiful star seeds, welcome to 2021. You made it through 2020 and we're just getting started in this new creation of new paradigms. To everybody who's returning to this channel, who's been part of my journey, thank you so much. I'm so honored to serve your path. My heart goes out to you for your comradeship and your resonance. Anyone who's new to this channel, welcome. I really hope that I can be of service to your path moving forward. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like my video, comment if you like this video. And if I can just give a straight message before I even start anything, because I know that some people just click off in the middle. If you can just take away anything, it's that throughout this year, this next coming year, 2021, a year of drastic uncertainty, because most of us as humans are learning to drop out of that linear mind who loves certainty. The certainty that we love to predict and create and recreate and remanifest is falling away because we're attuning to a higher state of mind. And so a lot of things that we loved to predict and love to be certain are somehow becoming more prone to entropy. And so if you can just remember throughout this year this message that whenever you come across a challenge or a problem, all you need to remember is to resonate to a field of consciousness that's higher than the field or level that perceive the problem. And that's quite simple, yet it is the solution to everything that you will come by over the next year and beyond. So with that being said, personally, if you have been following my material and you resonate with my frequency and the way that I work with energy, I am for the first time launching, due to high demands, a mastermind that will stretch from the end of February into the end of November of 2021, and it's called Purity Operating System, Purity OS, and it's going to be specifically for calibrating your consciousness to the purest kind of non-dual level and many different layers of perceiving reality from that space of pure consciousness, which is source and void simultaneously in balance. So if you're interested in that, and please do note that it's a very high premium resonance program. It's for a good reason. It's for a bandwidth of people who have learned to already master certain facets of reality. It's very high level consciousness material, and so it also really helps me filter out the resonance bandwidth of people who are really committed to taking this, because it's really not a beginner's program. It's really drastically advanced level of information and energy work and calibration and frequency work. So if you're interested in the mastermind, please kindly apply at the link below. It is a highly limited space container because I really care about the frequency that is in the group net, and there will be an application process, but if you are interested, please do kindly check it out. If you're part of my Patreon in the 12D category, you will get a discounted rate simply because I love my Patreons so much. It's a big part of my life, big part of my energy work goes there. And actually, if you're part of that Patreon, it will drastically lighten the load of the energy work that I perform on the grid behind the scenes, because it's already doing a lot of frequency transmissions over there, and then it calibrates a lot of information in your field. And just another reminder that everything that I do, beyond what you can perceive, beyond what you can hear, what you can understand, is always frequency work. So with that being said, even this video, even this transmission that I'm about to do for 2021, the collective message for starseeds or interdimensionals, I don't make predictions like most tarot readers. I just give practical advice based on the abstract energy that I perceive in your field, on the collective field, and depending on where you're vibrating at, it will resonate to a different degree. Different facets will resonate to a different degree, but at the end of the day, it's frequency transmission. So please do take that note in mind. And if you fall asleep during my transmission, that's perfectly great, because it's frequency that I'm generating and helping you generate. So actually, if you enjoy the frequency, you can fall asleep to it. If not, you can just watch it over to gain the practical information, which also is good. So I'm going to go into a Seed of Life spread for 2021, which is perfect for a new cycle. So I like to shuffle with you guys. So if you can just tune into your heart space while I shuffle, intend to take in this information with a very light heart. You know, not expecting me to give you something you don't already know, or not expecting me to tell you your destiny, which is not something that I'm going to do anyway. Just helping you calibrate to your ideal frequency and timeline. Okay? Just taking full deep breaths while I shuffle and throughout this whole reading in general, because it will help you integrate the energy and transmission. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so on the bottom of your deck, you have Star Connection. So, guidance from the stars, galactic self, unified field. Many of you coming into greater sense of cognizance in your galactic heritage. And if you know my energetic kind of vibration or frequency, or the level of information that I like to transmit, I'm usually talking about how even the whole notion of star seeds or star systems or dimensional perception is very much, from the way that we perceive it, distorted from what it actually is. The way that we understand, for instance, Arcturus, Pleiades, 11th dimension, 7th dimension, 8th dimension, whatever it is, it's all so layered with different stories, how we perceive from self and others, how we perceive ourselves, our self-identity, what it means to be human, and then we're projecting the rest of the other kind of facets of being or fractals of energy as being, for instance, Andromedan, Arcturian, aliens, extraterrestrials. However, when this kind of star connection shows up, it tells me, and how I would interpret this as the underlying energy, is that you would be actually activating that level of perception from that heritage, integrating into the way you navigate through reality. So yes, innate abilities, but at the same time, it's not something that you can really verbalize or rationalize or make sense of much. It's just so that your perception of reality will drastically change and resonate with your galactic heritage. So if it's Cassiopean, it's like you start to really have many different spectrums of how you experience love. It's like you almost open up a whole new spectrum of sensitivity towards love. If it's Syrian, you just start to perceive your visual field with more geometric precision, or your third eye just activates this unexplainable projection of grids in mathematical precision. Okay, so this is the kind of star connection that I would say is becoming active in your reality throughout 2021. Not necessarily that you will start to commune more with these extraterrestrial beings, which obviously is an outer manifestation of these internal capacities. Eventually it does play out in that way, but it is that kind of external experience is simply a reflection of the subtle work that happens internally. You will drastically have a different kind of interface to the physical reality, and it's not that it takes away from the human experience, but it really enhances it and it amplifies it. And then you will see that this really harmonizes you with other gifted people, because you all have different kind of streamlines of these dimensional perception or galactic heritages. It's like that DNA becoming active, and sure, you will meet your guides and whatever in your different states of consciousness, but more so practically speaking, your sense of reality shifts drastically, and how that plays out is different for everybody. Okay. Number 2, germination. Rising to Palladian frequencies, sacred bond, healing clear space for higher energies. So for a lot of people, it's Palladian energy and Palladian frequency that is becoming super active in your field. And what I would sense from this particular card, Rising to Palladian frequencies, is for a lot of you, you're going to be dropping away from emotional anxiety or any kind of emotional turbulence from the first place, like really being able to center yourself through emotions and simply be a pure conduit or pure observer of your emotions. And what I really want to highlight is that when you start to observe your emotions and find your non-duality or your stillness through emotional experience, there's a subconscious fear for a lot of people that you become robotic, or that you become like this psychopathic, sociopathic person who is like ruthless through emotions, or like is insensitive. But nothing could be further away from the truth, because when you become non-dual of your emotions, it actually means that your emotions become more vivid and pure and non-distorted. It becomes like a pure hue of color, rather than, whereas before your witness and observer seat, the emotional spectrums were muddled. It's like brown, mixed, unclear color. It just gives the emotional spectrum a lot more actually amplification and vivid experience. So it's actually that it will amplify the emotional richness of your life, yet you are not driven by them, you're not identified with them, and you are not a slave to them. So I just really want you to integrate that. And what I feel is that you will be able to really get into that space when this talks about rising to the Palladian frequencies, because that, in my knowing, is how this will integrate into your practical life when you start to activate these Palladian connections. And on top of that, what I feel is that you will really clean up the way that you interact with other people, and the way that you feel around communities, and the way that you relate with others in general. Of course, because you are no longer driven or harnessed by your emotions, rather that you harness the emotions rather than the emotions harnessing you. And so when that clears up, some of the most drastic improvements you will see is in the realm of relationships. And so you'll attract a lot of really pure and rich experience of relationships in all areas, whether that's friends, family, collaborators, comrades, partners, romantic partners. And that'll just be such a beautiful facet of your year, and you will see that. And the next one, growth. So that's, growth is manifest, co-creation, gratitude, divine alignment, joyful visions. So as you really clean up this emotional spectrums and your relationship with your emotional body and with the collective, it really takes your manifestations to another level. Because first of all, when it comes to number one, finances, let's say, the economy, one of the biggest hindrances is when you haven't cleared your relationship with the collective of humanity or friends or other people in general, because the economy and the financial system is one of the most interweaved energy that is shared with the collective of humanity in particular. So no matter how gifted you are at manifesting, or no matter how gifted you are at your skill sets, your talents, and your mission, if you don't heal your relationship with self versus others, this illusion of self versus others, or the collective in general, the collective of humanity, perhaps you have a hard time forgiving certain facets of humanity or certain like hierarchies of humanity, instead of understanding that everything is just playing out in perfection and everything is just a byproduct of the experience of polarity that you chose to have, then you are basically pulling out of that, participating fully in that collective grid of the economy, which is that energetic exchange on the third dimensional plane under the structure of time and space. So when you begin to heal this and really foster this emotional neutrality, which again doesn't mean that you are void of emotions, but it means that you are amplifying the experience and becoming a pure conduit of emotions rather than a clogged pipe of emotions, your manifestations reach another level. And then because you're healing your relationship with other people and the collective, your vision aligns with the one true divine plan, which is a collective effort. And whatever else you chose to align with in the past is more like a subdivision of that divine plan. But once you align to that level of that one divine plan that has infinite facets that you can choose to align with, again, your manifestations, it's a complete different game, and you will see that. Next, you have challenge. So this is a challenge, but not to take it with fear. And I don't think that there's a lot of people who's gonna watch this video and align with this kind of material that's gonna be afraid of challenge, because it's a doorway to evolution. Is travel. Interesting. That is so interesting, because as we're going through this right now, this COVID paradigm and this quarantine paradigm, your challenge is travel. So obviously, practically speaking, like 3D life manifestation speaking, this could readily mean that you cannot, like, the challenge is that you really want to travel, but you can't travel as much as you want to. But this, on the internal level, is nudging you to really take a deep look at the journey on the external versus the journey on the internal. So when you are limited to move in the grid of space, which we've really had to experience with this grid of time, it really enforces this ability of yours to turn inwards for that vast thirst for exploration that you usually would quench by traveling or moving around. But now that the space continuum is restricted more than you would like, it's turning you inwards to find it within, and also with this time construct, questioning that entire matrix of space and time and the interdimensional travel that is fully active internally if you would just realize. And through this challenge, you will create such big shifts that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to create. And as I said in the beginning of 2020, this challenge in navigating through space is just amplifying the limitations we already have on the notion of the time-space continuum, because currently there's a lot of technology that's suppressed that is much more liberating in terms of space travel and time travel. And so really looking at how we become restricted even in this fractal or this level, helping you realize the bigger picture of the limitations that has been put on our existence. Okay, next, strength, opening the heart, right to love, be loved, and heart healing. So what is being shown here is that a lot of you have lived with a closed heart until this point. And throughout this year, you will experience a complete obliteration of all of the boundaries around your heart. And you will finally see and how this is so related to the breaking of the time-space continuum restriction. And not to disrespect this time-space continuum, it's one of the biggest gifts once you learn to harness and vibrate under it just as freely as you could vibrate on top of it. So for a lot of people, the action step or the task is to learn how liberated you feel when you are tuned into higher levels of cognition versus how you relate to the level of yourself that is under the time-space matrix. That completely synchronizing and you feeling just as liberated under time and space and just as strong under time and space will kind of really break you out of that level of cognition that fathoms all these problems and worries and anxieties and fears from the first place. And at the same time, it is directly related to your ability to manifest and co-create your greatest timelines and your highest realities. And the strength that comes from that, opening the heart, is basically when you resonate with the space of your heart, which is the same kind of energetic structure as non-duality that I constantly talk about, because duality is based on the brain, duality is based on the logical mind, because your brain is split. But when you drop into your heart space, which is based on the toroidal field, which is a unified field that is one with all of creation, that's pretty much sums up how you break through this challenge of travel through the time-space continuum, and also to resonate higher than the level of your mind that is creating any problem at all, right? So it's all kind of connected here. Next, on your flowering, we have cosmic circles. So create sacred space, embrace unlimited possibilities. So from here, I see that you start to feel so at home. Like you're gonna make yourself a home base. If you already have a home, it's gonna amplify. But for a lot of people, this is the year that you will literally start to live in your dream home. So that's one level. But at the same time, this talks to me about you finally creating a tribe of people around you, a network of people around you that make you feel like you are at home, at one with source. And when I say when you feel at home, because people watching this is starseeds, when I say home, I mean like back onto a higher dimensional planet. You start to create a network with people, or you start to come into conjunction and synergy with these people who literally are emanations of that same soul group from other dimensions. And then you'll realize that being here and now literally feels like home now. So that's going to be happening for a lot of people. And the reason, or the cause and effect simultaneously, not separating the two, but kind of like a reflection of why this is able to happen this year, is because you're opening your heart. And then when your heart is fully open, you start to actually create that resonance field with the timelines that you're fully united with that level of connections. And part of the reason why you feel so separate or individual here on earth, or perhaps like not at home, is because on a higher density way of being, you're connected telepathically, emotionally, and physically with other your soul group. You're basically your soul family. You're constantly, like, you're literally one grid. So it's you rarely have an experience of like feeling individual because you're constantly connected. You're going to start to experience that here as you come into click with your actual family. No offense to physical families, but soul runs deeper than physical family. And actually, as you come into that grid, you will really heal the relationship that you have with your genetic family as well, physical genetic family as well. And then you will see the gift in both split, like both of these categories of family. You will start to appreciate your physical genetic connections as well. Yeah. Now, the fruit is guidance. And so what you will find throughout this whole journey of this year is that you have an infallible direct link and trust and faith to your inner guidance system as it has never been active this much before. And of course, all of you have that guidance system. That's how you find yourself here, find information like this, resonate, and have all these synchronicities and miracles that are unfolding in your life. But this is a whole other level of guidance that is almost like immediate. It's like you don't even have to question. It's just the level of observer seat where the right decisions, the right choices, the right thoughts, the right actions literally just arise out of you because you don't even question anymore. You don't even question things anymore. And this is the level where you're headed. Like, you don't have to make choices, decisions, personal will, because you're so aligned with this field of the divine plan that like you will just be in your still center and the right choices like literally arise. And then you just be observing yourself literally make the best decisions of life, and you will not even have to think about it. That's where you're headed. I didn't even flip the central card of this, which is this seed. And that was supposed to be the first position, but I didn't go through it because it's probably really important. The seed is abundance. Yeah. So I can see why this was like supposed to be. So this is the central seed of this year, 2021. And many people might be like, how is it abundance when it's 2021 and this COVID stuff and the economy is falling? Because you're actually tapping into the actual seed of abundance, which is internal, which manifests in multiple facets in many different levels, not just in one way. And there's like 12 pairs of bifurcations of timelines and parallel realities. And if you're watching this, I really hope that you understand that when I talk about these numbers and kind of dimensions or numbers like this, when I say there's 12 strands of bifurcations of timelines, it's kind of like a metaphor for your conscious and rational mind so that it can kind of link back to the nonsensical realm that it originates from, right? So yeah, a lot of people are going to experience like economic downfall. But that's not your paradigm, because you are clearly resonating in a different bandwidth. And one thing that I'll say is, and I've said this to my Patreons last month, one thing that I'll say is, do not ever feel guilty for thriving through chaos, because what you're actually doing for other people is you are creating a resonance bandwidth. You're creating a field of resonance that people can kind of resonate with. You're creating a trail through this chaos. It's not just that, oh, I'm like an individual and I'm thriving and I should be helping other people. No, you just focus on thriving yourself. Even if you try to help other people at this point, it's really like you can inspire people, but our reality right now is at a level of empowerment that if people need somebody to drag them, that's not really the paradigm shift that is being initiated in this collective right now. It's either people get inspired by you thriving and they empower themselves to resonate with that or generate their own frequencies like that, or else, like we're not living through a paradigm shift where it's like you just help people up by dragging them up. It's not like that. That's not the most empowering state. And this shift in reality and this shift in consciousness that is actually originating from this omniversal creatrix of consciousness is not a minor shift. And especially just like had this great conjunction through Aquarius in Aquarius. It's not about humanity at all. Like it is partially, but humanity is just a small part of the shift that's occurring right now. It's like about that whole bandwidth of dimension, time and space. It's a lot more than just human self. And of course, you have that alignment to all of those levels of consciousness, which is why you just, basically the point that I'm trying to make is just focus on yourself, because in this year, you're going to be building a level of abundance that is self-generated, and that is an internal state of, as I said before, resonating on that highest level of cognizance or highest level of frequency or highest level of consciousness that you are free to experience. For instance, when you're out of body, or maybe when you're dreaming, this highest level that you connect with when you're meditating, and grounding that in your default mode network, even when you're fully connected with all of your brain, including the fight or flight mode, even that level of reacting with your environment. When you can integrate that highest level state with your lowest level state, which is what's definitely happening, and dropping your fear away from the time-space continuum in general, which is part of your initiation, then that is actual abundance, and that translates into having it all in every single sphere of your life, and that all being interconnected instead of trying to work on each thing at a time. Like, I want a relationship, I want a good career, I want a lot of money, I want a lot of health, I want to be beautiful. It's not separated. It's actually all grounded in the same stillness, and you will just see that, how that translates into this multifaceted, kind of all-encompassing 144,000th dimensional interpenetrative abundance that is weaved into every single facet of creation. And being able to experience that on the most dualistic, limiting, and in the most positive way limiting, because limitations can be some of the most sacred tools for exploration, will be such a rewarding experience for you. And so this has been such an amazing reading. I'm going to leave it here with this kind of abstract energy. I don't want to do any tarot cards or whatnot right now. So I hope that this has been helpful for your transition into the new year. I intend that you maintain your highest frequency and stabilization and the purest level of non-duality that is available to your soul's evolution at this time and space, in every direction and dimension of your timelines and beyond. If you resonate with my messages and the strange transmissions that I like to give, then you can check out my Patreon. And if you truly resonate, you can apply for my Purity Mastermind that will probably stretch into later years because it's a big download. Okay, I love you so much. Have a good portal into the new year, and I will see you in the new year.